First of all, I'd just like talk a little bit about the week of preparation with our team. And, last week I thought we had a good week of preparation and felt good about it. But our players always seem to go to another level and take me to a space of, wow, they have more in there. And I thought these 4 days of practice this week have been really good. I thought the intensity's been great. The mental intensity has been on point. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for us are always, tough, physical, hard practices. And then Thursday today, what I liked is thinking back to last Thursday was, we were really dialed in today on the details. And I think that's what it's going to take, and I think back to last Thursday and we were a little spotty. And then inevitably in the ball game, we were a little spotty with some of our details that hurt us at times. And so I'm really encouraged today knowing that, man, we had some hard physical practices on Tuesday and Wednesday. We were really dialed in from an execution standpoint today, because we know that that's what it's going to take in this ball game. We're playing a hard-nosed, tough, physical football team, but yet extremely well coached. And so those details are going to matter in this game in all three phases.
Thanks, Coach. Go ahead and raise your hands if you have a question. We'll go to you. Dennis, go ahead and start us off.
Coach, how did CJ Baxter look this week? And what about his mindset do you like as he heads to a hostile environment for the first time in his college career?
CJ looked great. Fired up for him to go cut it loose here Saturday. Everything's first time for him, obviously. But I don't have any reason to not think he's going to go out and just perform and go play. Everything about him, he's a very even keeled guy. He's diligent in his approach to wanting to do things the right way. He's a physical player. So in the end, my anticipation, he's going to play. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of a transition, maybe early in the game from the speed of the game and the physicality of the game and obviously the environment, but I'm not really concerned about him, performing, that because that's just who he's been throughout his time with us.
Joe Cook, go ahead.
You talked a lot about being able to show opposing defenses, a lot of different things, being good at multiple formations and personnels. It seems like after watching the Rice game, y'all did that on defense with Kwiatkowski's side of the ball. What does that allow you to do to opposing offenses when you can deploy multiple fronts, multiple personnels in various situations?
Yeah, no, I think it started with the personnel. Playing a lot of people a lot of times is difficult when you're trying to get a beat on your opponent, who you're going against. And so we played a lot of people. So that was helpful. I think too, those guys on defense, because of the communication and the way they've played, it allows us to do maybe a little bit more than we've done historically over the first 2 years, because they've earned that right. They're doing things confidently. They're communicating. They're on the same page. And then ultimately now they've gained some confidence in playing, varieties of defenses. And so as we navigate our way through the season, certain games we're going to rely on more things than other things, and vice versa as the season goes on. The players now have some confidence that they can do a multitude of things: zone coverages, man coverages, pressure patterns, secondary pressures, line stunts at the line of scrimmage. Ability to go to big people and stop the run when you have to do that. So all of those things added up to, I think we're very comfortable with the people that we have and the scheme that we have, that we can play a variety of defenses predicated on the style of offenses that we get.
Thomas Jones, you're up.
Coach, how's DJ Williams doing? It looked like he got rolled up last week. And might we see Cole Hudson play Saturday?
DJ Campbell.
Oh, sorry, DJ Campbell.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. I always get Derek Williams, DJ Campbell. I get the same thing. So he's great. DJ practice this week and really, got better and better as the week went on. Cole Hudson's back healthy, and yes, he'll be playing as well here Saturday.
Eric Henry, go ahead.
Morning, Steve. Got a two-part question for you. In the 2016 Peach Bowl, when you were with Alabama, obviously PK was with Washington at the time you guys faced. Their defense had some success against Jalen Hurts as a runner and passer. Just wondering first off, you have any recollection at all of that contest, of what their defense did and the success that they had against Jalen? And, if you now being with PK, if there's anything you can take from that game that you can kind of insert into game prep this week facing someone with a similar skill set in Jalen Milroe?
I remember they had a really good defense that year. We struggled mightily offensively. I think our defense at Alabama that year scored a defensive touchdown and got another turnover and returned it down inside the 10, which created some points. Again, we're a little bit of a different defense than what they were there, but definitely there's some things that we can draw from that ball game and then different ball games throughout PK's career that could be helpful in the game.
Danny Davis, you're up.
Steve, are you all planning on taking 3 or 4 quarterbacks to Tuscaloosa, and then kind of going off that, what was it about Malik that had him earn those number 2 reps last week?
We'll be taking 4. So Charles Wright will be the 4th one that'll be going. I think inevitably there's been a level of consistency in Malik's play that has been really encouraging. He's always had kind of the highlight plays, but then there's been plays that were not so highlight in taking care of the football. And I think he's done a much better job of doing that. Clearly I think we saw glimpses of some of the throws that he was able to make in that ball game last week. It was unfortunate. We made a couple errors on our end that kind of knocked drives back and kind of hurt ourselves. But I think Malik did plenty enough there in that game that showed us some confidence. And quite frankly, I had all intentions of playing Arch in that game. I didn't think that the fourth quarter would go as fast as it did. And then I didn't want to put him in there for, the last minute and a half and use a game on that. So like I said, those guys continue to work hard and compete at it. Hopefully as the season goes on that they'll both get their opportunities to get in there and play.
Roger, go ahead.
Coach, the whole play with emotion, but not emotional, is that easier said than done sometimes, especially this is a new team, new set of leaders, things like that going in?
Yeah, I think so. Football is definitely a game of emotion, and especially when you're on the road in the type of environment that we're going into, we're going to need our emotion. We're going to need everybody, sticking together and being tight on that sideline and on the field and being there for one another. That energy, that emotion is important. When you get emotional is when you start making poor choices and decisions on field. That's when late hits occur. That's when, you make unforced errors that can dramatically affect the game, extend drives, things of that nature, and knock drives back. So we just want to make sure that we're right there at the cusp of having really good emotion and energy and excitement. We should be. Who wouldn't want to be, but not step over that line of making emotional, irrational decisions.
Anwar, go ahead.
Good morning, Coach. I'm curious from your perspective, how has Quinn looked in practice this week, and how important is that quarterback play when you're going on the road, especially when in an area of limiting turnovers?
Quinn's had a really good week. I think he has a firm understanding of the game plan and what we're trying to do, whether it's our base down stuff, whether it's, 3rd down, 4th down, and obviously in the red area. I think it's tough to go beat teams like that on the road without your quarterback playing well, so I think that, naturally, hopefully we can find a rhythm for him and create some opportunities to take some shots, and that rapport with his receivers can shine through because you got to play a complete game. You can't be a one-dimensional team. And, like I said, I think we're a really versatile team. I think Alabama's a very versatile team. Both teams can win games a variety of ways, but naturally, you need a complete game to go and try to win a game like this.
Kirk, go ahead.
Yeah, Steve, are you extra fired up this week? I don't know if you're sleeping in the office or coming in the office at 3 a.m. And are you looking at this as a statement game for your program?
No, I'm looking at this game as a, kind of a benchmark. Where are we? Where are we? We've made a lot of strides, and we've come a long way. And I think last year's game served as a good benchmark. And I think it helped us, instill some confidence in some players on our team of what they were capable of. We're going to go in here Saturday night and the goal is they get our best shot, and I'm assuming we're going to get their best shot. And what does that look like? We're going to come out of the game, and in the post-game press conference in the next couple of days, we'll see and where we think we're good enough and where we were maybe we're quite not. And that might not be personnel. That might be scheme. That might be, unforced errors. What does that look like? What does that look like in all three phases? There's no question we want to go win this ball game, right? We're putting forth every ounce of effort that we have to try to go do it like we do every week. But in the end, I think both teams are going to walk out of the stadium with a real firm understanding. Okay, this is where we're at. And then this is what we need to do to continue to develop our team for the next 10 regular season games and trying to go win a conference championship. And quite frankly, that's one of the beauties of playing these games like this early in the season. And I kind of commend whoever was the reasoning for scheduling Texas and Alabama and moving forward next year, Texas and Michigan and Texas and Ohio State, because it gives you a sense early in the season, some off-season motivation, but also, okay, when we're playing one of the best teams in the country, where are our holes and where are our strengths that we can fix those things to get ready for conference play?
We got time for the last few questions in queue. Go ahead, Jeff.
Coach, on Monday, you told us that you weren't impressed with the physicality of the O-line in particular that you saw against Rice. Is there anything that you can see on the practice field to show you they're ready to step that up a notch, or is that something that you have to find out on Saturday?
Well, it's pretty intense this week. So if the game's anything like practice, we'll be okay. It was pretty intense.
Ruben, go ahead.
Thank you, John. Hi, Coach. Every year, there are some goals for the season, practically beating Oklahoma, getting ready for the postseason, and all, have the best success in the season. But 2021, we had Arkansas. This year, you have Alabama, and then you have Michigan. How do you prepare the team, or did you work on this game, being at the beginning of the season, going to a hostile environment and playing against a team like this caliber?
Well, I think first of all, that's why you come to the University of Texas, is to play in games like this. I think that this is what, the types of competitors that we're recruiting, thrive. They want this, they want this opportunity. They want this challenge. I would say in year one, when we went to Arkansas, we were not ready for the environment. We just weren't. And I can say that honestly and be okay saying that. I think 2 years later, I feel a lot more comfortable with us going into a hostile environment. I think we've got good veteran leadership, guys who have had to go into those arenas. I think that we've got a group of young, hungry players on our team that in my opinion, don't feel like they'll be fazed by it, because that's why they came here. And then the preparation comes down to it's a want to. We get to go do this. And I think that there's a mindset that when you go into these types of games on the road, that we get to go play in this game. And this is why we chose to come here, is to play in these types of games. So, I think we got to leave the fear here in Austin, and we got to go in with a level of respect for the opponent and then play our style of football.
Last two, Cedric, go ahead.
Hey, Steve, you've coached in a lot of these, and you talked about the intensity of practice. How do you gauge that? I know you don't want them just over the top on Tuesday and then, like in a boxing term, overtrain them
right
for this matchup. How do you gauge the intensity factor through the week to make sure you're at an optimal level in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, it's kind of hard, right? The naked eye, the coach's eye, right? You lean into the experience of it. What does it look like? What's it feeling like in practice? Two, I rely on science for some of that. We can gauge explosive movements. We can gauge, high velocity yardage by receivers. We can gauge, explosive movements at the line of scrimmage by linemen. And that gives me a gauge of kind of where we were a week ago and what a Tuesday and Wednesday practice look like in comparison to this week. And so I think that's a credit to our staff, that our training staff, that we have that science. But also inevitably, I think from a mentality standpoint, like I touched on with the team, everybody, when we got done with that Rice game Saturday night, everybody in their mind thought, man, I want to go win at Alabama next Saturday night. Okay. What are you going to do Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to put yourself in position to have an opportunity to win that game? And so our whole message this week is be present, right? Be present today. Let's focus on today. And Saturday will be here soon enough. Let's focus on today. And so that allowed me to kind of really look at each day, really like through a straw and just focus on that day. And then that gave me a good gauge of where we were at. And if a guy's yardage was getting to a point to where I felt like it was too much, we backed off of them. But it felt good. It felt right. I felt like this week was the way we're supposed to practice. And so I felt like we really kind of stepped up our level of intensity from last week. Now moving forward throughout the season, we have to have the ability to sustain that, and then I'll manage the amount of reps that we take, but the level of intensity on each individual play felt right to me.
Last one, Jeff, you're up.
Sark, I know you've called games against Kevin Steele and his defenses before, and I don't know if you saw anything in that Middle Tennessee game that were signatures of him that looks remarkably different from what Alabama's done. And how deep do you get into it in terms of, do you study Auburn stuff, and how far back do you go to get an idea of pressure packages or coverages that you might see on Saturday?
Well, I mean, in the end, I have a lot of respect for Coach Steele. Granted, and clearly I have a ton of respect for Coach Saban. And so systematically, it's not a whole lot different of, when Coach Steele left, he maintained the core structure of that defense. And so for him to be back and calling it in that structure, it's really not that different that way. As Coach Saban would always say, it's Alabama's defense, right? And they're going to do it. It was Alabama's offense when I was there too. I think that's one of the beauties and one of the hallmarks of how he's been able to sustain for so long. But a guy like me, I don't have a whole lot of hobbies, so I kind of watch a lot of tape throughout the off season and during the season, to where sometimes I don't want to say it's for fun, but it kind of is for fun. You're just watching football. I get to do what I love, and I love what I do. And I got a ton of respect for those men as coaches and the job that they've done throughout their career. So we do drill down on that kind of stuff, but we try not to chase ghosts too. At the end of the day, you can't try to get ready for everything. You got to trust your training and react to things when they come.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time.
All right, y'all. Thank you.